And now, a story from the Appleseed.
This is a true story. This story happened a long time ago. Alazão. Alazão, the horse that saved 6 lives. A true story. A horse saved 6 lives. It happened long, long ago in the 1930s in a farm in the countryside of a state in Brazil called Rio de Janeiro. You see, Rio de Janeiro is a big city, capital city of the state of Rio de Janeiro. And this farm was way up in the interior. And it was nestled in a valley so steep. The mountains were so great. And the valley was so deep in there. The farm was located so deep in the valley that when a storm came in the middle of the day, midday became midnight. The farm grew coffee. The number one crop was coffee, Brazilian coffee. And the farmer had many families working for him. And Didi was only 9 years old. Her father was in charge of the coffee fields. He was of Portuguese heritage, from Madeira Island, born in Brazil, but his parents had come from Madeira Island. And he inspected those beans, made sure it was best quality. And Didi, even though she was only 9, 10, 11, she worked hard. She would bring him lunch every day, not only to him, but his hands, his workers. He would watch her go downhill afterwards and get busy with something else, such as, fetching water from a well and sweeping the front porch, taking care of her siblings, all brothers. Yeah, and one sister. But Didi was a kid. She loved playing. She climbed trees, played, with her cousins, running around, building mud houses. And the animals, she loved the animals so much. There were beautiful birds migrating from North America. She didn't even know about North America, but those were the birds coming in for the summer. Jaguars would be spotted every once in a while. They're large anteaters. There are spiders the size of my hand. Scorpions. And snakes. Very large snakes. The constrictors were friendly. And the farmers didn't mind the constrictors because they kept the rodents under control. But the ones they were concerned with were the vipers, the venomous snakes, especially a jararaca type, fer-de-lance type of snake. The jararaca, potent bite. Oh, the venom of a jararaca does not attack your nervous system like some venoms do. The jararaca's venoms attacks your molecular makeup, meaning you start to liquefy from the inside out. Lucky are the ones who die right away. If you last a long time, you swell up like a dead animal, and you start to bleed through your eyes, your nostrils, your ears, your pores, and it's a horrendous death. So kids were told not to fool around with rotten wood, not to try to roll a rock, Farm kids, they're running bare feet everywhere, so they were told what to do and what not to do, And they did. They paid great attention. But from all these animals, the one Didi loved the most was her father's horse, Alazão. Alazão was this gorgeous horse. Alazão is a color, like a dark chestnut color. And Alazão would always be tied to a post in front of the house. And Didi knew Alazão was out there when her father was in the house, because that was his main mode of transportation. So Dad would come in, right? Her father would come in, and she would give him a hug, and then just go outside and see her buddy, Alazão. And she had always treats, and she would get into her pocket with some treats, and Alazão would eat right off her hand until it tickled. Hey, buddy. And then she always carried a brush. All right, come over here. There you go. All right. And she would groom him so carefully and lovingly. And Alazão loved Didi's care. And when he looked presentable, that's when she would lean against his side like this and just enjoy each breath he took. Those two had a special connection. But then you'll all become a memory. A broomstick or some kind of a tool would be back in her hands. And this time, it was harvest time. Didi had to gather a lot of debris. There's a lot of movement. Even the toddlers were helping. Harvest time was busy time. A lot of movement outside, and there's a lot of things that were going to be piled up. Didi was taking care of that, making big bonfire piles. They would be burned later on. And she's there, working hard, gathering all that work, all that stuff, just piling them in. One pile over here, another pile over there, and she would be just pulling. One pile here, one pile there, piles everywhere. And then the rake got stuck, and she got crossed with the rake, and she just pulled the rake towards her. It was instantaneous. When she pulled that amount of debris that got stuck towards her, she got this hot sensation up her leg. The next thing was all she could see was sky. She had fallen on her back, and the pain came in. Papai, papai, papai. Senhor Manuel, her dad. Senhor Manuel knew trouble when he heard it, especially coming from the kids. He came running towards her, towards the sound, papai, papai, papai. And when he got to her, oh, meu Deus. Oh. Didi. She was covered in dirt. She was crying. And one of her legs was thrashing. She was thrashing one leg really hard. Her right leg was thrashing. And there was something different with her foot on that leg. Her foot looked bigger. And then, Senhor Manuel was still kind of getting used to the whole thing. This is like a split second. And then he noticed that there was slithering motion. And then he sees the snake. He sees there's a snake. So his reaction is to take his knife off his belt and kill the snake, which he did. Because the snake wouldn't let go. It was a jararaca. Not a full-grown jararaca, but still a jararaca, all right. He took Didi to the house and laid her there in the kitchen. Everything happened in the kitchen, in the house. The cooking, the talking, the stories. Her mom came in crying. Dona Nedina, Senhora Nedina came in crying. The windows were shut. The candles were lit. And they started to pray. This is a farm in the middle of nowhere. People knew how to set broken bones, how to stitch cuts. and snake bites and spider bites, any venom in the body, they knew how to take care of it too. Most of them were successful. They would mix animal fat with herbs and press on the wound. They would mix kerosene and make the victim drink a little bit of kerosene. And that worked for a lot of the animals. And they did that for Didi. You know, they were taking care of her. And then they heard Alazão. That's when they heard Alazão. Alazão was wild around the house. And Senhor Manuel was on him. You please take care of Didi. But I'm not going to stay here and see what's going to happen. I got to do something about it. I'm going to go to the village in search of that antidote thing. And he slapped Alazão hard. The village was 1 hour on horseback away from the farm. And those two went with a cloud of dust behind them. People rocking on their chairs, you know, on their porches along the way when they saw Alazão going by that fast. They knew something was wrong back in the farm. 1 hour later, Senhor Baltazar! Senhor Baltazar! Senhor Baltazar! Senhor Manuel burst into the drugstore. Senhor Baltazar! Didi foi picada por uma jararaca. A jararaca pegou ela no pé. Senhor Baltazar! Oh my goodness. Didi was bitten by a jararaca? I'm so sorry to hear that. I held her when she was a tiny little thing. But I have the antidote. But I don't think my horse is strong enough to make it to the farm in time. That's not a problem. That should not... we don't know if it's going to be a problem or not, but here's the thing. If you think your horse is not good enough to get to the farm in time, I'll stay here and you take Alazão. Alazão is strong. Alazão is young. Alazão will take you there. Please, you have to try it. All we can do is try. Just get on Alazão. And Senor Baltazar gathered everything really quickly, jumped on that horse, and now people along the way saw the pharmacist going to the farm on Alazão instead of Senor Manuel. Now they knew something was really wrong. He literally jumped off the horse and burst into the kitchen. There was no time to waste. With his job done, he cleaned everything, covered Didi's leg up. She was out. Didi's mom was on her knees right next to Didi's face praying. There was no time to visit. It was time to go back to Senor Manuel. Senor Manuel, come out here. There was a crowd outside, inside. Senor Manuel, you know, small town, everybody knew everybody. Senor Manuel, come out. Alazão is coming down street. Here's Alazão. Excuse me. Did you save her? Did you save her? Senor Manuel? Did you save her? Senor Baltazar? How's Didi? Should you save her? Sir Manuel, you know how these things go. Only time will tell if I got there in time. Just go home and pray. Pray along the way, and hopefully Alazão was fast enough. That ride back to the farm was the longest of Senor Manuel's life. That beautiful valley was dark and gray. Senor Manuel was in a story he didn't want to be in. Alazão was tired. Back and forth, back and forth. And then he saw his tiny little dwelling. And he approached it. And as soon as he got off Alazão's back, Alazão collapsed. Agua! Agua! And they brought him water and threw water at him. His ribs heaving up and down. So tired. He drank and drank and drank. And Senor Manuel goes in the house. And the first thing he noticed when he walked in was the light coming through the windows. The windows were open. And Didier was awake, complaining more from the antidote shot than from the snake bite. And you know what? When kids complain, it means they're going to be all right. And she was all right. It took a few weeks. She smelled like kerosene for a while. They said I kept her together until Alazão came with the medicine. And she limped. And as soon as she was allowed outside to play, she didn't play. She went straight to that horse and gave the horse the tightest of hugs for saving her life. I know I told you Alazão saved 6 lives. It's so true. But because of Alazão, right? Did you grow up? She had 5 children. Yeah. You're looking at the youngest. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for a story from the Appleseed.